Hey everybody, this is Mike LaPon from Symphony X and Mike LaPon's Silent Assassins, and this is SAGAS.
All right. What's going on, everybody? This is Corbin, the Serpentine Skipwith, and I have a very special guest today. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Jaani Peuhu from Finland and I make music. There you go.
Nice, straight to the point. I love it. Thank you again for coming onto the podcast. We've been setting this up for months now, and I greatly appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here talking with you, man. It's so nice.
So before we get into talking about you, we were just talking about music in Finland, and I think there's no bad music in Finland. One of my favorite bands is from Finland. I love Valvelo. Talk about music in Finland. You said if I was there, it would be a different story. So let's go from there. I love Finnish music. I think there's no bad music.
And then I tell you, you're wrong, man. Yeah. You should hear the traditional Finnish music. It's absolutely horrible. And but things started changing in the 80s, really. But before that, it was we had some progressive rock bands that were pretty awesome in the 70s, but yeah, the Finnish traditional and popular music is so bad. So I guess you just heard the metal music from Finland, but it's a very tiny part of music industry here.
What is traditional Finnish music? Like, is it folk music, country? What is it?
Well, it's pop in a way, but it's like this old school pop for grannies. I think that is the most traditional music. Of course, we have folk music also, but it's like really jolly kind of stuff. And I advise you to stay away from that stuff.
Well, now because you talked about it, after this podcast, I'm going to search it up and hear what you're saying, because maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll love all Finnish music.
No, you won't. That ain't gonna happen. Yeah, I promise you.
Oh, well, let's see after the podcast. I will tell you my honest thoughts once I find some.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, I love the Finnish accent. Before we continue, I like anyone from Finland, when I hear their voice on interviews or music, it's just such a cool accent. So thank you for this accent to be on the podcast.
Well, yeah, what can I say?
Sorry, I just love the Finnish. Yeah.
Yeah, like we call it rally English. When Finns talk English, it's like there's a certain note in it, and in a way we are embarrassed of our way of talking English here, and there are a lot of people who try to sound English or American, and I don't really get it. It's we're special. Björk is speaking English in her Icelandic way, and it's the sexiest thing on earth. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Nah,
and this is and I'm going back to 80s, when Finnish bands started recording in English. Well, of course, we started a bit earlier, but then when the first Finnish band started working with their international careers, they really tried to sound American or English in every possible ways, and then they went to studios in England or America and tried to learn the accent. Their image was stolen from American bands, and then it just got so ridiculous, like a Finnish band recording in English, they go to States, recording American recording studio, take their promo pictures, they're wearing Stetson hats, trying to look like cowboys. I'm like, what the fuck? Like we have so special heritage here, our history, our culture, and then these guys try to be Americans, and and of course there are a million better bands playing American style rock and roll in America. Like, why would we go there and try to challenge them?
Yeah.
And then it started changing in Finland slowly. Like, okay, like of course we have Hanoi Rocks. Yeah, it's kind of American style rock and roll, and they were amazing. But with them also, like, first they had to move to Stockholm, and then they moved to London, and then they moved to LA. That they could actually do it, because it was impossible to operate from Finland back then. But then we had a band called Valtari. I think that was the first like metal band making it internationally, and they were using a lot of cool things from our inheritance, like Lapland kind of stuff, whatever it's called, yoiku, and all that stuff, like mixing their music with Finnish influences a big time, and then people got really excited about it.
Yeah,
and of course Amorphis, they started using lyrics from Kalevala, and so on. So then all of a sudden people realized that, oh shit, we don't need to try to sound American. We can be original, and I think that the bands that have created the most original style are the bands that actually have made it the biggest time, and they and the rest of them the bands are just following them, just like you mentioned earlier that you love him. They were there's nobody like them, they started a whole new movement. And in 1 year we were fucked in Finland, because every label wanted to sign their own hymn, and all the bands started playing that kind of music, and I was in a band like that too back then. And we had a band in Kouvola called Marianne, and it was more like glam rock. And then actually it was our keyboard player Juska, he joined him even, and then everybody else started changing their style more to this gothic metal, and so did we. And then that band got signed with Spine Farm, changed the name to Die For, and it was one of those. But we had millions of them here.
Yeah. Have you ever met the band, him?
Sure. Yeah. I play the same band with the drummer Gas Lipstick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I play in Halatar. It's a doom metal band, and Gas is the drummer. And yeah, of course, Juska is what he was. We were bandmates with him, and he joined him, and we had a practice room in the same building, and really sweet people. Really sweet. And yeah, I respect Ville Valo so much.
Yeah, you say his name so much cooler. I know I'm saying it so botched. I can just tell. There's no one saying his name right. But
I don't know, is there a right or wrong way to say people's names? I don't know.
Probably saying it the American way. But still, it's just I can't wait to visit your country and just one day and just absorb the culture, because it's one of the most fascinating, in my opinion, growing up on your guys' music. So I still haven't lost the love.
Yeah. Well, we'll live a bit far, but yeah.
One day. So you are already such an eccentric person. I'm already loving this conversation, and I want to know about your childhood. What was it like, and was music a big part of your upbringing?
Yeah, my father was a professional musician, so I kind of grew up surrounded by all kind of music, and he used to play jazz, and he loved he did love the traditional music, but more but a bit, yeah. There are some artists from Finland that are playing really cool folk music also. So yeah, I fell in love with some of that stuff that takes me to I'll talk about that later because I've been working with folk music lately a lot also. But anyway, so yeah, my father was a musician, and when other guys they had their He-Man characters and stuff like that, I amused myself with analog synthesizers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned to create these space sounds with filtering and with those crazy synths, and that was my world. And he took me on tour with him sometimes, and it's just like I grew to be a musician. And then it was already like when I was 2 years old, I just spend all my days with banging children's drums until the skin was broken, or I built my own guitar from something. So it was very natural. And already when I was 4, people asked me like, okay, what are you gonna be when you grow old? I said that I will be a musician or a clown. I had the plan B. But
a clown.
Yeah, so I guess I did both.
Wow, you should have been a metal clown.
Yeah, no, but still, my cousin's his plan was to become an oven.
What's that?
Oven, where you bake the food.
Be an oven.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
But that didn't happen.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Wow. That's quite the backstory.
So then I started piano lessons when I was 7, and I hated that. And then I switched to drums when I was 8. Yeah, kept going to drum classes, but didn't really enjoy it that much, to be honest. And then I was in a 6th grade or something, and I lived in this really small village called Ruovesi. And my best friend Jussi, we were crazy metal fans, and we were always dreaming about forming a band and stuff like that. He played guitar, and we were just like dreamers. And one day we were just like, why shouldn't we start the band already? Because I play drums, you play guitar, and it was like, holy shit! And the next day we took over Jussi's father's garage, and luckily he had a drum kit there, and I had my drum kit, so I combined them. So I had a double bass drum kit. And then we learned all the songs from Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, all that stuff. Creator.
You were like a kid prodigy. Like you were like gifted from like a miracle. You were a music miracle.
Well, you didn't hear us. Like anybody can play, but it doesn't mean that you're any good. But we started touring when we were 13, 14. But of course it wasn't like proper touring, but we were playing in wherever we had a chance, and we went to some band competitions, and our band was called Chaos Lord. We did 3 cassette demos, and we were selling those and pretending to be rock stars in our little village. It was so much fun, and then that's how it started. But we were rehearsing like 8 hours a day. We were dead serious about it right away. And one thing I'm hearing when you're telling the story, it seems like you have a very similar, kind of a similar backstory to someone like Ben Christo. He told me to say, that he was talented as well, as a young age, and went to competitions
and played early. Like you guys have a similar.
Yeah,
in my head.
And that maybe that's why I love Ben, and that's why we get so well along. And yeah, we've been working a lot together with different projects, and oh my God, that guy is so talented and the sweetest guy on earth. I love him to death.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
talented. It's crazy.
My question is, you were saying how you had cassette tapes from your first band, back in your village. Do you have any of that on MP3 audio, like digital?
I don't. And I'd love to get them digitalized. And I've
'Cause I
been
wanna hear
asking
it.
for. Yeah, me too. Oh my God, me too. But before those tapes, you know how I started actually making music. It was with two C cassette recorders. So first I recorded like myself playing drums on a cassette, and then I played that cassette with another cassette player, and the other cassette player was recording when I was playing guitar and growling or whatever. That's how I started. And then I got a 4-track recorder from my father, and oh my God, that was mind-blowing already. But I would love to hear those tapes. But yeah, that's some. I really want to find those. I know many guys actually who owns them. So it shouldn't be that. Yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. But I'm a bit unorganized that way. And to be honest, you know, I never listen to music I've made. It takes me at least 15 years that I can listen to an album that I've done the way or another.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
So all right, so you were already touring young, you were already doing all this amazing stuff. Tell me, when was your first big break, like your big or I guess mainstream, I'm gonna do this for a career break?
I don't know. I don't know. And you know, it's like how do you measure success in a way? You know, I don't know. In Finland, you know, with my first own band, of course I did some albums with other bands as a drummer, but then I got signed with Iconcrust. That was my first band where I was a singer, and I was 25 then. And then, you know, we got a lot of radio. We got a lot of radio play and MTV and stuff like that, and good, a lot of publicity here. But still, you know, we were really struggling because you know, that kind of music, it doesn't matter if they're played in the radio when, you know, people aren't really buying albums. You know, that kind of music, it's not big in Finland. So we should have focused on the markets in Germany and so on. But we were signed with EMI in Finland, and when you're signed with a major company here, you really have to make it big in your own country first, that you can sell the artist to other countries' offices. And we didn't do it. You know, we were never in the album chart or anything like that. So it was a really bad decision in a way to sign with a major company. And they wanted us to focus on the Finnish markets, and there were no markets here basically. So that what, and I spent 10 years of my life focusing on that band only, and then we went to Eurovision Song Contest here in Finland, and then we didn't win it, and then we kind of burned out as a band. It was just like we did all we could. And, you know, we did a huge tour in Finland, played every possible place here, like in a zoos and churches and ice rinks and amusement parks, ice halls, of course, all kind of rock bars and festivals. we did so. Yeah, we worked so hard, and then we went to Live Nation after the tour. Like, okay, how did we do? And then we're like, yeah, you own us this much money. I'm like, what?
Oh wow.
And yeah, and we were so exhausted. So that was the end of that band until for now.
Yeah.
And then I felt like, okay, I want to focus on studio work, and I've never really enjoyed publicity.
Yeah.
And I really loved it, you know, just
Yeah.
stay in the studio, and so then I started producing other artists more, and do go writing for other artists, and then I started working with Swallow the Sun, because we played together earlier with our bands, and we were supporting Anathema when they were touring Finland with Icon Press, and then Swallow the Sun played with us somewhere, and we got friends, and then they started working with their Songs from the North triple album, and they asked me if I would like to do the vocal production for that album, and that I did, and then I sang a lot of, like, basically backing vocals for every song in those albums, and then they asked me if I would like to do some gigs with them, and I was like, okay, and then all of a sudden, you know, and we did big ones. It was beautiful.
Oh wow.
It was beautiful, and yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna say. So I'm just curious because for someone who's not in the music industry, like someone who doesn't play in actual music bands like me or the listeners, is there a way that you can tell us what it's like, in the back, like what's the background process like for producing a song, like maybe stuff that the audience wouldn't think about, or stuff that just a step by step on how to produce a song.
There are so many different ways and different producers, and most of the time producers are focusing on sounds. Yeah. So it's just like they are helping the band. Of course, you do pre-production. You go through the songs and talk about, arrangements more or less, and do demos with them, and then you start talking about how the album should sound like. So you select the right studios and engineers who do that. Some of the producers they record and mix themselves. I do that too, but with some projects I give them to some other people for mixing. It really depends on what kind of sounds we're looking for. Yeah. So that's basically it. And it's like in the most cases. So the producer is looking at the bigger picture and checking out the songs and basically the concept and try to help the band to sound better. Yeah. And hopefully sound original. But I rather work a bit differently. So I'm really picky with the artist I work with, and so I rather do just like few really good albums per year, and most of the time when people ask me to produce them, I say no, because I don't. I only want to do albums that I can be really proud of. Yeah, because I feel like that's my inheritance. When I'm gone, that's my art, and that's how that's how I see it. It's even I'm producer, but they're still my babies. Yeah, and I want to work with artists who feel that way. That that I can be, in a way, part of the band, that we do it together. It's our baby, because it takes always few months. We're in it together, and we have to trust each other and respect each other, and then things can happen. And then the band also, they feel more relaxed when they know that there's somebody looking after them, and they can trust that I'm not gonna let in, that I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm taking that pressure away from them, because when they don't know, you know, then they can ask me like, how do I feel about it? And I'm very vocal about it. And I do a lot of co-writing with the bands also. So it's like yesterday I got an offer from one artist from from another country. He sent me some raw mixes and asked me if I would like to work with their EP, and I said no, it's not there. And then he was like, okay, what would you do? And I would like to hear all the songs and go back to drawing board and maybe, you know, help you to enhance these songs a bit, because I know that you can do so much better.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for some artists to hear that. But but at the same time, we get so deaf with our music, you know, when we spend a lot of time with it, and then we really can't tell anymore that is it good or not.
Yeah.
And then so yeah, that's how I like to work. I love it when the demos are still really raw, and basically the best option for me, if it would be just like piano or acoustic guitar and vocals, chords, melodies, lyrics, and the story, and that's basically the best option. And then we think about how should we do this, the way that it supports the song the best possible way. Can the chords be a bit better? Could the chorus be a bit hookier? Where are we aiming? Like, do we want this to be more radio friendly or just weird or whatever? And then I try to, you know, offer them tools how to do that and help them to do that project.
You know, so, I have to send you. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, but pretty often when the bands are sending me their raw mix or something, and then like, hey, can you just, you know, polish this and mix it and so on, I say no, even it sounds cool, but it's like, I know there are so many better mixing engineers who are just focusing on that, and they are so much faster also, because that's all they do. And I love the whole process, you know. I want to go way deeper, so I just like, hey, maybe you should contact this guy, and you know, and it's also cool that I can give jobs for my friends also sometimes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
financially, of course, it's really stupid, but still,
you know? No, I was just gonna say, like, I'll be interested for you to, so after this podcast, I'll send it to you, but it'll be interesting to hear your opinions on my co-host who's normally here, his band, because he does a Viking metal band. Ren Marabou and the Berserkers, and I think his music's amazing, and it'll be interesting to hear your opinion on it from a producer standpoint, because see if you like them or not, because they're a great band, and my co-host is the lead guitarist and lead singer. So it would be interesting to get your thoughts.
Yeah, but I wouldn't, only if he would have some unreleased music, because I don't think there's any point to.
Oh no, just to listen.
Yeah, talk about when the music is released, it's released, and that's perfect the way it is. That's the only way it was meant to do that moment. I find I find them like diary entries in a way, the albums.
Like, it was more just, you know, I'll just love to get your opinion on the finished product. That's it. And just see what you think of it.
If it's finished product, then I don't know. I wouldn't do that, because then I feel like, there's no point. You know, there are album critics for that stuff. Because then it wouldn't make any point, you know, sense to give any critique about it, because it's already out there, and they did their best.
But I love the music, so
yeah, but if they have unreleased music that they're working with, then it's a different case. Then I can listen and share my thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I got to ask him, because I know they're working on an album soon, so that would be cool to see if they have any raw mixes and get your take on them.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
yeah, that will be interesting. I've been working with Viking music a lot lately. Anyway,
Yeah.
and I just returned from Norway, where I was working with Gaul, and he's
yes.
really
Oh,
deep into that world, and also I'm working with Katiran album, and
mhm.
it's like this Nordic folk music, really beautiful, very Viking-ish. So yeah, I
Fuck yeah,
really love that
nice.
stuff.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned from being in the music industry? Something that only experience can teach you.
I think it's just like you always have to work a bit harder than everybody else and be a bit braver. Like that's the only way.
Yeah.
You have to stay hungry and when it comes to making music, you can't do anything safe. You need to feel like, oh my God, this is crazy. You
Yeah.
feel a bit embarrassed even. It's like, what am I doing? And then you're working with something special. But when it's just safe and like, okay, cool, then I throw that in the trash.
Yeah.
If it doesn't give me any kind of feelings, emotions, that's the thing. And you have to work internationally. That of course it's a bit different from Australia, but when you live in Europe, that's I'm traveling all the time, and I'm working in different studios around Europe, and I've been touring and so on. So I just get to know more people, and then getting more opportunities as a producer, but also with my bands. It's just like nobody will come and pick you up from home. That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I'm having this conversation all the time. Like one producer friend of mine just asked me, like, hey, what should I do? Like, I'm not getting any jobs and I'm not going anywhere with my career. And the guy's living in a small village.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, well, first at least come here, try to work in Helsinki as much as possible and get to know artists and be in these studios and then try to start, getting these jobs outside Finland and travel there, do that, and that's what I've been doing from the last 20 years. It was right away when I started working with the first Iconcross album. I flew to London and worked there with that, and then from there I started kind of building that network, and I've been working a lot in there, and that it's just like there are no shortcuts. Just like now I went to Norway. Of course, somehow I could have done it, with just sending files back and forth or something, but it's totally different. It's totally different. Of course, it's expensive also to go, but then thank God there are record labels, and, they to take care of that stuff. But also you have to invest in yourself and in your band. And if you don't invest in your band and yourself, how would anybody else do that? And that's what the labels and everybody's seeing. Like, okay, this guy's taking this seriously. And then they are ready to invest because they know that you will do everything you can for their product, whatever it is.
Yeah. Wow, that's very inspiring. I love it. I love how raw and just straight to the point that answer was. So many people, they fuck around or they try and beat around the bush, but not you. And I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, and it's all people are always blaming somebody else if they're not
Yeah.
making it. And like these rock bars in Helsinki, they are full of those guys. They're
Yeah.
just sitting there in a bar and complaining. Our record label, blah 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 blah, or whatever. And we don't get gigs, and like, what are you doing in here?
Yeah.
Go and look for the gigs.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's the reason why your record company isn't investing in you, because you're just wasting your time here in bar and crying about it. That ain't gonna take you anywhere, and tomorrow you will be hungover. You're not gonna do anything. That's what,
Yeah.
and that's one. I don't use alcohol, for example, because
Yeah.
then I will be out of game for 2 days, and I love to work. I love making music. That's the best thing that I can do.
Yeah.
And laying on a sofa in a hangover, it's not that productive place, and it doesn't help me with my career at all. Of course,
Yeah.
I like to go to bars and see my friends, but I just don't get drunk, because I have a passion for music,
Yeah.
not for partying.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's yeah. Nah, that's a good mentality to have, because so many people can get caught up in that lifestyle more than the actual music, the partying, the drugs, the alcohol, and then and then they lose sight of what they're meant to be doing, which is making the art of music.
I've seen that happening so many times. Oh my God, and so close. It's just like there's so amazing bands out there, but then the mentality is totally wrong, and then they're not going anywhere, because they just don't get shit done, and then the labels or management, booking agents, they aren't ready for investing that kind of artist. Because first of all, you can be unpredictable. Maybe you don't even show off to the airport when you should start the tour, and then that's a disaster. Or when you go to studio, you're not prepared. The album will suck, and it will cost so much for the label, because you need more and more time, and to be focused. And good example is Lord of the Lost from Germany. I've been working a lot with them, but their working ethics, it's amazing. Oh my Lord. It was the first time I met them. It was like, wow, this is like, in a way, like a sports team. They came to the venue in Helsinki, and then they went jogging and worked out, just to be focused and feel energized. And when they went on stage, it was like an explosion. No drinking, no nothing. It's just like they were there for the work, and they were amazing. And then they were in the same festival. They were all these Finnish bands, just like having fun there and being sloppy, and these Germans, it was like right away, like, whoa. And when I've been in studio with them, it's amazing. Like, they know exactly what to do. They're so prepared for everything, like every detail. And that's how you go to places, and now they're doing amazing things, and they've been growing every year, just because they just work so hard every day, so focused. Amazing. Of course you need talent, but also like, there are no shortcuts. You just have to work and work harder than everybody else, and you'll get there. And people will see that, okay, these guys, they are hungry. They practice every day.
That's the same mentality I have with podcasting and interviews, because sometimes in Australia, I deal with mostly international people, and sometimes the international guest will say, sorry, I can only do 2 a.m. your time. I'm like, all right, cool. I got work the next morning, but fuck it. We'll do the interview, and then I'll just suffer at work. Oh well.
Exactly. Like, gotta do it.
It is what it is. Because otherwise, I miss the guest.
Yes, of course
Yeah.
you can be comfortable, but
yeah,
but and just miss all these opportunities, and then when you look in the mirror when you're old, and ask yourself, like, did I give it my best?
yeah,
And I don't want to look and see my reflection knowing that I didn't try hard enough.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I can't stand. Yeah. Work ethic's a big deal for me, and so it's really good when I talk to someone who shares the same work ethic as me, or I hear about bands that have amazing work ethic. It inspires me, to kind of up my game.
Yeah, and there's this kind of illusion uh, with creating arts, at least when it comes to music, that and I used to be like that also, like romanticized the process of writing, for example. I always thought that I can just create the best songs when it's nighttime and I have candles and red wine there, and then the inspiration will come and I have to wait for the inspiration and yada yada yada. And then in one point I just changed it totally, like, okay, now I just and I spent all my time in studio every day, like 15 hours, and then I went home to sleep like 6 in the morning, and then when I woke up 8, back to studio. I spent all my time there. I'm just like, yeah, I have to be here, I have to work hard and da da da. but then then I totally changed it, and I started working office hours, and
Yeah.
and learned that I can really just, it's important. It's so important to learn to create that creative bubble for yourself, where you
Yeah.
just, and then you just jump in there. It doesn't need to be dark. You don't have the candles and stuff like that. Only
Yeah.
thing I need is coffee, and then to wake
Yeah.
up, and then it starts. I can start writing songs 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and then and work really focused for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And nowadays I'm way more creative when I'm kind of working less,
Yeah.
and then turn off from that world. Of course,
Yeah.
I think about it. I do long walks in the forest and listen to the recordings from that day and make notes, and then I know exactly what to do the next morning. I'm
Yeah.
so focused,
Yeah. You
and
know,
and
yeah, go.
and it's, I think it's so much more about like finding the mechanisms for yourself for creating that that works for you, that you're productive. and
Yeah.
and and I've always been, I can write nonstop. I can write 10 songs a day. It never ends. It doesn't mean they are all good, but when I
Yeah.
write a lot, there are always good ideas here and there, and I have crazy banks of songs on my hard drives.
Yeah.
And but
Yeah.
yeah, it's so easy nowadays to get into that world. But
Yeah.
I so yeah, don't need to wait for the inspiration.
Yeah. I remember this was like the start of this year. Is so I was going for my driver's test to get my license, and I failed. I failed my license, and I was beside myself. I was rock bottom. I was crying like a bitch. I was just all the emotions. And then I completely forgot that I had a live interview in 10 minutes with a singer.
Mm.
And so I had to bottle up my emotions, go into the camera and do a 40-minute interview pretending to be happy. And I remember I thought to myself, I was like, look, this is a big guest. I can't reschedule this. Fuck it. I'm just going to do the interview, pretend to be happy, and then deal with my emotions later. And it's like, no matter what's going on in your life, if you have shit to do, for the most part, you got to get it done and then deal with life later. Well, that's my theory anyway. It's just like, you got stuff to do, and then do the tasks or whatever it is, and then and then do whatever it is your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like I'm in a happy position because, you know, if I'm going through difficult times, you know, I can turn them into music. So
Yeah.
so for the artist me, it's good news, you know,
Yeah.
if I'm heartbroken or whatever, you know, that's the
Yeah.
most creative space for me.
Yeah.
And knowing that when I can turn them into songs and share them with people, you know, that they can these songs can help people who are going through difficult times, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so I don't just need to stay and, you know, dwell in that sorrow, you know. I can that way I can share it with
Yeah.
people. And in a way it's unfair that I have that option, you know, that
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, heartbroken. I'm running to studio. Ah, great. And to a point, oh my God, you know, when I was younger and I was kind of stuck with one album and I'm like, shit, I had a deadline coming. I didn't know what to do. And I remembered that I created some drama in a relationship where I was just to get inspired. And that's the most horrible thing to do. But oh my God. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. It was really selfish, and maybe it wasn't that good relationship either.
Oh man, the things you do for music, huh?
Yeah,
The things you
horrible.
do. Ah, you're
Yeah,
definitely committed. That's for sure.
yeah,
That is A plus level commitment. Oh fucking hell.
yeah.
So do you have any? So do you have any future projects that you can talk about, or anything coming up soon that you can that you want to let the audience know about?
Yeah, I'm as a producer. I'm working with Katirani album now. This
Yep.
Dutch artist. That album will be amazing. So it will take a few more months until we're done with that. So we've been recording it in many countries, and we still have sessions coming in Iceland and Netherlands for that one. So I will finish that one, and then I've been working with this. So yeah, I love these girls. I have the girl duo from Finland called Saruru, and they are working with this kawaii metal. I don't know how to call it, but it's just crazy shit, and they are so cool. So we're working with their first releases now, and it's been so much fun. So, and then I will record the second album for ENI.
Yep.
That's my new project,
Yep.
and I will be I will be recording it in the Middle East and also in Iceland and
Yep.
Finland, and that will take me few months.
Yep.
And we went to studio with Mercury Circle. It's my band also. We recorded drums for 4 songs.
Yep.
So we should release an EP at some point, but this time I just can't produce it myself like I did with the album. But we have 2 other producers in the band, so I just told them like, hey, we can do this EP if you guys will help with the production. So we'll release that in some point. And then we are already in the next year. And then there are some projects that I can't talk about. But yeah, it will be busy. Next year, I guess gonna release the ENI album in the end of the year and start doing live gigs, and that will take a lot of time and effort also because the production will be pretty big, and because it's very different kind of project.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
will happen. That will happen, and then I'm working with one like about musical thing.
Yep.
It's connected to to ENI. So it's
Yeah.
like combination of it's a big project and what else? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, there's a lot.
Wow.
But now I'm really trying to be selective. That I only work with one project at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you got a lot of stuff on your plate, and I can't wait to hear all of them once they come out.
Yeah. Lot of fun ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one trip hop album. But I think that will be next year.
Yeah.
Next year also. Well, all kind of stuff. But I tried to work with totally different kind of artists and with different kind of genres all the time, and dive into new genres because I want to learn.
Yeah.
And then when I'm working with different kind of musicians and instruments and music styles, it's like that's like my candy store.
Yeah,
it's so inspiring, and then I can mix them with my own music and like no way I could be working with just metal albums. Like that, and to be honest, metal music is at the moment the last genre that I want to work with, because I spent quite a few years now with metal. And now I've been kind of I've learned to like to listen to metal music again. That's and I'm really enjoying it, because when I'm working with certain genre, I don't listen to the music from that genre at all. Because and it's like I blacklist every band in that genre, because I don't want to get any influences from the band from the same genre. It's always like that. Now when I was working with the ENI album, for example, people were like, hey, you should listen to Vardruna and Heilung and da da da. I was like, okay, well, thanks for ruining it for me. So until this day, I haven't heard one song from Vardruna, because I just can't. Just like snippets, and and I was just telling Gal about it. He used to sing in Vardruna. I'm like, dude, I would love to listen to that stuff. I can't. I don't want to get any influence. I went to see Heilung gig when they were in Helsinki, and it was mind blowing. I loved it to bits. It was so beautiful. And now I've been working with the Heilung drummers with Katirani album, and these guys are so good. At the same time, it's like being so careful, because I really try to create something original. And I really fight for it.
No, you definitely do. You do an amazing job.
Thank you,
man. I can't wait. I can't wait. Anything you touch, it's interesting. It's something that draws people's attention, including mine, obviously. And like I said, I can't wait to dive into all the new stuff you're gonna gift us with over the year.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, man. Kind words.
Look, I have to. So I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to end this pretty soon. Unfortunately, I have something to get to, but I do want to do part 2 if possible in the future. You're an interesting guest, one of my favorites we've had so far, and I mean that. I love your accent.
Anytime.
I love your stories.
Anytime, bro. Yeah. This is fun. I enjoy good conversations, and so it's fun. So
you're a great conversationalist. And one thing I got to ask you before we get going, and it's a question I've had since I started the recording, but have you heard of a group called the Dudesons? They're a stunt.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
They are so cool. I remember watching them. You know, I was a
Yeah,
teenager.
yeah, they are special, but it's nowadays they are doing a lot of national TV. You know, like they have their own TV shows, but they're not doing those stunts anymore. So it's more
Yeah.
like entertainment for the masses. But they are so cool. I really really love them, and I love those early days when
Yeah.
they were just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It was
No,
like,
it's my dream to meet them one day. Like I know I probably won't, but it'd be cool to just because they were funny. They were so charismatic, and I loved watching them as a kid, well, teenager.
yeah, they were so much fun. I loved it, and they started showing them in a really small cable TV in Helsinki, and yeah, I oh my god, yeah, that was so much fun. But then
You
yeah,
know, yeah, I was gonna say I was always curious because they always drank this one energy drink. There was always this
hmm
one drink they drank. I forgot the name of it, but they always had it in their fridge. Like it was just the one drink they used to always drink on the stunts, and I was always curious to
oh,
try it. I forgot what it was called,
so
but
well, they are called sponsors.
wow, I want to try it. It looks
Yeah,
nice.
I'm pretty sure they had an endorsement deal with that company. Then
Makes
it's
sense.
not like, yeah, that crazy people, they don't need energy drinks to go do crazy things. You know, it's probably it's ADHD, and when you have ADHD, energy drinks basically calm your brains down.
Oh, true.
At least it
Wow,
does that to me. Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna upload this next because we normally upload once a week. So next week this will come out, and I can't wait to show the world how good of a person you are. And this has really been amazing.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, let's talk soon more.
We definitely will. And yeah, again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much and have a great day.
You too. Have a good one.
Okay.